Why do I keep getting attracted? I can't. Do 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 do. Ah. I cannot explain this reaction. Do 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 do
1, 4, 3.
Hi. Welcome to episode 18 of Jess and Hids Make a Podcast. I'm Jess.
I'm Hids.
Because we haven't introduced ourselves for a while.
In a while, no.
In case you haven't distinguished the sounds of our voices yet.
Or forgotten who we are, or this is your first episode listening. Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
I think it's gonna be a fun one. But before we get started, I have a thing for you.
What?
I have a thing. Hang on.
Wait. What? She is digging under the... Oh my gosh, it's even gift wrapped. Oh, what is this?
I had to, since we share the Amazon account, I had to enlist the help of a friend.
It says 143 from Hills. Oh my gosh, is this... Oh my goodness. Ah! Oh my God. It's so adorable. Okay. So I think we've talked about it on the podcast before that we have a slight obsession with the K-pop boy band Stray Kids.
Slight obsession.
Slight obsession. She got me a little Stray Kids hoodie. Oh my goodness, this is adorable. It's got all of their they have like little animal
personas.
Not personas.
No, it's
just like their animal
there's probably a
representation.
name for it. I'm just not like that deep into K-pop and the culture there, but
that's adorable. So soft too. Here, feel it.
Oh my gosh, it really is.
Yeah.
Nice. I think it's super cute.
The little quokka.
I like the little fennec fox.
I know.
And the little chick.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, each member of the band, there's 8. They all have a little
brownie.
Oh my gosh. They all have a little animal that they use, I guess, like a symbol, or I don't know.
Yeah,
it's cute.
They all have their favorite animals, and they've been cartoonized.
Yeah. And they're super cute.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, this is so cute. Did you get one for you too?
I did. It will be here next week.
Aw. This is adorable. Yay. Do 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 do. So cute. All right. Yeah. I love this. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm so happy right now. I'm probably going to make you unhappy with my topic, but...
Uh-oh. Oh, no.
And now I feel like I need to get a present for you. It's the whole Sheldon conundrum. Like, I have to give you something of equal value.
You don't. No, that's just it. I will accept gifts. I love gifts, but I don't give gifts in order to get gifts. Mm-hmm. I just like seeing people happy, so.
Aw. Yay.
We love presents.
We do. We got a little sticker in the mail from Sarah.
And I love
it. And we got it like the day after we opened the War Members package that we released last week, that episode. And so it was not included in that, but it's just a little sticker that says, it's the Now That's What I Call Music logo, but it says, Now That's What I Call ADHD. And she said,
perfectly fitting.
She thought of us, and we were like, that tracks. Thanks, Sarah. We have it pinned up on our little corkboard under all of our topic cards right now.
I need to hang the other corkboard. This one's getting full.
Yeah.
Cards and stickers and our topic cards and
our candle nights.
The candle
Christmas ornament.
Do you have anything that we need to talk about first? Like, I don't know. I mean, if you're following our cryptid campaign on our Patreon, it's
popping off.
It's they're strolling. Oh nope, they tripped. They're rolling downhill head first into the end game. It's
We actually spent most of our pie baking last night coming up with the actual finale of this game.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Like we have we knew, we've already talked about, we know how it's going to end, but like actually the layout, the location, how they're going to get there and that sort of thing is like finalized. It's written in our docs. So we're like, this is it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm like super excited because we've worked so hard. March 1st was a year that we've been playing this game with this group, and the story has grown, the characters have grown. It's been a wild, fun, emotional at times ride. It's been a little crazy, and we've had so much fun with it. And coming into the end game it's super exciting, but then we're like, it's the end. Like,
I'm gonna be so sad.
I'm gonna be like super sad, but it's gonna
be an amazing story.
Yeah. I'm going to keep using Sarah's analogy. We had a skeleton and they've put the meat on it. And speaking of cats,
he's after the dice. He walked right over the pepperoni slices and cheese slices.
He's like, I don't need your charcuterie board. Give me those dice. Crazy cat. Little boy. Talk a minute. Let me hide the sounds of me covering the charcuterie board.
Oh, yeah, we have a scavenger hunt coming up. That is actually, it's not only available to patrons, but it will be a pay-to-play kind of deal.
Yeah.
And that's coming up. It'll run all through April. And this episode releases on March 27th, so just a few days away.
It'll be Legion.
We're launching that.
What? Launching? That's the word I was looking for. It'll be launching in just 4 days after this releases.
Yeah. That's crazy. I haven't
5 days.
I am not ready.
I don't know how.
He's laying in the dice box.
He's a weird cat.
Little boy. Okay. Yes, our scavenger hunt is releasing in April, and it's going to be awesome. You can find that also on our Patreon page in the shop section, heading, whatever.
The fun thing we've got going on in this particular scavenger hunt is so we're doing it by points. Each item has a certain number of points, and that'll be in the rules document. There's just a page or two of rules, and explanations. And we have a bonus points 5K if you want to do a virtual 5K, and that's just.
Technically, it'll be a separate thing from the scavenger hunt. So if you don't want to do the scavenger hunt, you can still sign up for the virtual 5K. But for those participating in the scavenger hunt, you will get extra points for signing up for the 5K.
Yeah.
And we are very excited.
We are super excited
about
that. We're going to have medals that you'll get, little laser engraved, laser cut medals. We're super excited about those.
Yeah. We talked about this all last.
Oh, yeah, we just did. Oh, I'm like, episode. My brain is like, do all the updates and
I know.
And, like fill in the information, but it's cool. Maybe they didn't listen to the Warm Embers episode.
Yeah, it's possible.
It is good to be, speaking of the Warm Embers episode and the lack of a full episode last week, our power is fixed.
Yeah.
Our gas is fixed. We should be getting our water heater installed this weekend, and we should be back to normal.
Oh my gosh, we can use our heater. Oh no, the gas isn't on.
The gas isn't on.
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
okay,
they have to get the water heater put in and all that stuff. But we are like, life is almost, I want to like knock on wood.
I know.
Like,
I mean, I still don't have a car battery.
Right. Well,
that took a very much back seat when the whole gas line.
We have my car, so it's fine. We work in the same places. It's fine.
It's fine.
But yeah, so we're excited. I'm actually excited to like actually record a full session, a full podcast episode
today.
Yeah. Eventually, we're just let's stop talking and let's get into it.
Okay.
All right. You want to roll and see who's, because I'm interested to know what your topic is.
I have to kick Zarin out of the dice box.
Get out of the way. 11. 17. Oh, I'm going to go first.
That's
darn.
You went first last time too.
I know. I really want to know your topic though.
No.
You tell me when I'm done.
When you're done, yeah, that's how this works.
Oh, okay. I'm like, Okay, you're going to know mine with this sentence that I read this. The word witch conjures a stereotype that we are all familiar with.
Keep going.
Well, that's my line because the rest is an advertisement for a bit of a history walk at the Bodmin jail in the United Kingdom.
The what?
The
Bottom?
Bodmin jail.
Bodmin. I thought you said Bodmin. I was
Bodmin.
like, that's not
Bodmin.
a word that is familiar. Bodmin, I know what you're talking about. Okay. Did you get Jamie Bauer's permission to play his song on this podcast?
I didn't. He wouldn't respond to my messages. I mean,
you try to contact celebrities and they just...
don't they know we're trying to promote them?
I am so excited for this.
Yeah, I hope I do it
very
justice.
Jealous.
There's not like it's just one short story about this person, but I did find a little more information on some other stuff.
The Witch of Bodmin Moor.
The Witch of Bodmin Moor, which was one of the very first topics we put on our list. The other thing you guys probably know by now we're mildly obsessed with is Jamie Bauer, who plays Vecna in Stranger Things. And he's also a really talented musician.
Yes.
A couple years ago, he released a song called The Witch of Bodmin Moor. And we listened to it and we're like, this is so good. What is he talking about?
It's funny because I know I've heard that story before. The first time I heard that song, I was like, wait a minute, this is familiar. And so I looked it up and I was like, I had heard the story before, but I still don't know where I heard it.
You listen to a lot more like paranormal odd podcasts than I do.
It could have been from a podcast. I don't know.
I had not heard the story. And when we looked it up, I was like, oh man, this is really cool. Well, it's not really cool. It's sad. It's kind of a sad story. And then we actually had some interesting conversations on witchcraft and the idea of, what defines a witch or what could possibly define a witch. We talked about
and the differences between what defines a witch in modern times and what defined a witch back when this happened.
Yeah. I think
they're very different.
I'm not going to get into the entire the witch hunts and the terrible things, and I don't like my neighbor, so she's a witch.
She's a witch. I hate her. Yeah.
That's actually a misconception, by the way, that witches were burnt at the stake.
Oh.
In Scotland and some parts of Europe, yes. But in England, witches were hung. The exception to a witch being hung was if that woman was also accused of petty treason against a social superior, usually her husband, then she could be burned at the stake.
Oh, okay.
It's always been hard being a woman. So yeah, I didn't know that. Like an act against a social superior for women, this meant their husbands.
Uh-huh.
Yes, petty treason against your husband. The crime carried the penalty of death by fire until 1784. The last person to be burned as a witch in Scotland was in 1727 in Ross-shire, and that was Janet Horne.
I'm sorry, Zarin just knocked over the cat tree. He's trying to get in the little bowl thingy, and it just went bloop.
Bless his heart. He's
okay. Anyways, that killed the mood. I am sorry.
Yeah, sorry. We're trying to be very serious and
the
solemn.
Laughter after what you just said was in response to what the cat did, not from... Okay.
Yes, we're definitely not laughing at this poor, unfortunate woman. Who was probably just...
was
a
probably
woman who
just
knew herbal medicines.
Yeah, knew a little bit about plants and their uses and benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or was a woman who knew about plants and their benefits, and then, life actually happened and someone she was trying to help didn't get better. So, of course, she cursed them.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And so then she was a witch.
Yeah.
So
or maybe it was just someone who was a little bit weird and awkward.
Yeah. Or in the case of someone like poor Joan Wytte, who we are actually going to talk a little bit about, she might have just been in a really bad mood because she had an abscess under her wisdom teeth. So,
okay, the Witch of Bodmin Moor is Joan Wytte.
The Witch of Bodmin Moor. Allegedly, the Witch of Bodmin Moor was named Joan Wytte.
Why allegedly?
We'll get into that.
Okay.
the website, I found a couple different websites, and I'll link them in the show notes as we usually do. This information is from a website called Occult World. So, Joan Wytte. She was allegedly born in 1775. She was born to a family of weavers and tanners. And tanners are people who make white leather.
Tanners or tanners?
Tanners.
Okay.
I know tanners are people who make leather.
Yeah.
But this is tanners, makers of white leather.
Okay.
So they used different chemicals and processes to make this white leather. So it's not really a healthy trade. Aw. Sorry, we're getting really super distracted.
I'm sorry.
When we leave the cats outside, they scratch on the door the whole time. So
we've started just leaving the door open.
They're kind of chilling, but right now Anakin is being super cute and playing with cake, and it's adorable. I'm
getting distracted at every little noise I'm hearing, and like Stray is eating behind me, so she's crunching, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Now that's what I call ADHD.
That's what I call ADHD.
Full circle.
Yep.
Okay.
And now he's getting in the garbage.
Zirin is obsessed with the garbage cans, and will just dive in and throw everything out.
Please don't.
He's just a precious child.
Okay.
I'm
so sorry. Let's get back to the topic.
All right, back to the topic.
Actually, hang on.
Gotta take the trash can out.
Yeah.
Okay. That's my version of elevator music.
Okay, but like my version is, why do I keep getting distracted?
Because we both have ADHD. Okay.
Joan Wytte. So tanners.
Poor Joan Wytte. Okay.
I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry,
not giving
Joan
her
Wytte.
the respect that she deserves.
I know. Which is sad, because it's kind of the story of her life.
Yeah.
And death. She did not get the respect she deserved. Just as a human. Okay, let's get back into what we see as the history of Joan Wytte. There's a lot of, I'm going to just preface all of this with allegedly. Okay. Everything is alleged.
Yeah.
Joan was small in stature, maybe like just around 5 foot, maybe not quite 5 foot tall. And she could reputedly communicate with fairies and spirits. She was known to be clairvoyant, have the ability of scrying, and she was also known as a healer. So there is a place near Bodmin called Scarlet's Well, which was viewed as kind of a holy well. The water source is very rich in fluoride, and we'll get into a little bit of that as well. But if you're in a society where there's not a lot of medicinal things, you can't just run and get some antibiotics or all of that. But your water source has fluoride. It is going to be seen as kind of a healthier source of water than the well, 10 miles down in the next village.
Yeah.
That doesn't have this fluoride.
Yeah.
So it became kind of a holy place or a sacred place. One of the things that she would do as part of the healing process, if she's giving someone sick herbs and that sort of thing, but she would also take a strip of cloth from their clothing and tie it to the trees around this well. This is a common practice. They're called clouties, Cloutie. It's pronounced cloutie. And it's a charm. And you take a piece of fabric from the sick person's clothes, you tie it to a sacred place. In this case, it was a tree by Scarlet's Well. And as the cloth decayed in the weather, it was kind of a sympathetic form of healing. So like the person would actually get better as if the cloth were taking the illness from them.
Oh.
Which is kind of an interesting belief.
Yeah.
But they're also like, giving herbs and, probably fresh water. And here you get the healthy food because you're a sick person. So sometime in her 20s, Wytte developed serious tooth decay, probably because food and like they had the fluoride from the well, but the food and everything else is not really quality food.
Yeah.
And she lived a hard life as a tanner, with all these other chemicals. She became ill-tempered. She also started drinking, and that, didn't improve her temper. And she also started having bouts of delirium, which comes along with drinking, over drinking. And she would talk in her sleep. So it started going around that she was now possessed.
Right.
So at some point in her 20s, she got into a fight in public, and the alleged witnesses say she showed supernatural strength, like throwing grown men who were trying to subdue her, and these other people that she was fighting, hurling, just picking them up and flinging them around. And she's, barely 5 feet tall. But also, I could say, like, okay, she's working in a hard labor job.
Yeah.
Working with leather, these leather's not like these hides and everything. This woman's probably she's built.
Probably strong.
So,
yeah.
So like, okay, she's just a 5 foot something woman. She's probably got like muscles, so.
Yeah.
But anyway, she showed almost supernatural strength by fighting off these people. But she was subdued, arrested, and taken to Bodmin jail. Let's talk a little bit about Bodmin jail. It's not the best place. I found a couple websites with some history of Bodmin jail. And interestingly enough, one of them is a carpet website.
We find the most strangest
Yeah, I know you did.
sources.
A furniture store.
Yeah.
It's pronounced like New Hay, and it's a UK site, so it might be something different. It's NEWHEY, carpets. And they actually put carpets in the jail because it is now a luxury hotel.
What?
Yes, I know.
Okay.
I mean, I'm like, okay.
Okay.
Bodmin jail was built in 1779 by Napoleonic prisoners of war. It is actually a pretty outstanding building. When it was first built, John Howard, so it was built in the early 1770s. And John Howard was this person who was like, we're going to have prison reform. When these people go to prison, they're going to get good food. They're going to get rehabilitation and reformation.
That's how a lot of jails started.
That's how a lot of jails started. Like you had just your, terrible. I mean, this is the 1770s. Prisons are not great. But he had this Bodmin jails kind of became, was kind of an early form of what we see now in prisons, where you have cells per person, or one or two people per cell.
Yeah.
Women were segregated from the men, which is a good point.
Yeah.
That's safe.
Yes.
And they actually had hot water in this thing. So, but they were only allowed one tepid bath every 3 months.
Oh.
I mean, considering that, like, I don't know. I've read that in those times, it would be like you would really just bathe once or twice a year.
Yeah.
Or for a special occasion, like, we're getting married, let's take a bath. That'll be our bath for the year, or there's a sacred day or a holy day that you would attend a ceremony, and you would bathe then. But so, I mean, 3 months might be kind of a good thing.
Kind of a luxury, I guess.
Kind of a luxury.
Yeah.
But that's where it all ended, luxury-wise, in Bodmin jail. I learned about, we always talk about the treadmill that we walk on for exercise, and we pay to go to gyms, and we log miles for, our virtual runs, like our 5K. The treadmill itself was actually developed, we don't really know when. It was developed as a way to turn a mill, like a grist mill for corn or wheat or, different things.
Okay.
In Bodmin jail, they kind of built a large one that could hold, there were several. There was one that could hold 18 people at a time. And there's actually one that was not at Bodmin jail, it was somewhere else, but it could hold 32 people at a time.
Dang.
But basically, these prisoners would put on there, and each section was divided so they couldn't talk or see the person right next to them. And they just were forced to walk.
Wow.
On this treadmill. This is just, I have a picture of it. It's just a wheel with steps, and you're just walking and walking. Man. It didn't even serve a purpose. Like when it was first installed,
like milling anything.
It wasn't milling anything. It was later, like they were like, "Oh, hey, let's make
Yeah,
let's
put
grind
these
the
to
wheat
use.
for the flour for the bread that we're feeding these people.
Jeez.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Yeah.
So that was one of the punishments where they would just walk until the guy said stop walking, basically.
Wow.
And like if one person stopped walking, other people are still walking. So they
Yeah.
would just get kind of dropped to the floor. It's not great.
No.
It's not.
Okay.
It's
No.
not great. So the quote from this article says, "So next time you're on the treadmill at the gym, thank your lucky stars you're not in an 18th century prison."
Jeez.
And yes, although sometimes it does feel like that.
It feels like it. Yeah. That image might pop into my head. Like, oh, I'm in an 18th century prison and this is torture and I can't get off. I have to
keep going.
Yep.
Another task that they would often be sent to do would be they would get bits of rope from shipyards and they'd have to break it down because the ships needed this rope, and like when ropes were too old to use on the ship, they could be broken down into shreds of the original. And
yeah,
I mean a ship rope is huge.
Yep.
So they would cut these into 2-foot sections because a thick rope 2 foot long you can't really hang someone with.
No.
And they would have to pick this apart and get it down into its individual fibers, which would then be mixed with tar and used to, I think it's called chinking on the ship, where they would stuff that into between the joints of the boards that build the ship.
So just
so
like
waterproofing,
a sealer.
A sealer. Yeah. So it's mixed with tar and it's jammed into the boards, and that's kept the ship's waterproof.
Cool.
And floatable. Floatable? Floatable. That's not the right word.
Floatable. Sure.
Buoyant. I don't know. Oh, I will say, like, when I have a lot of stress and anxiety, I lose my ability to make words or find the right words. Like, just my brain short circuits. And
it's okay to make up words. Shakespeare did it.
I mean, all words are made up.
Yeah.
So, floatable.
Well, actually, all words are made up if you think about it.
Push my glasses up on my nose. So part of Joan's stay in this prison would be on the treadmill, and then she would be shifted to picking apart rope and then put back on the treadmill.
I mean, the treadmill, not a fan of that, but I would actually like to pick apart some rope. I think that would kind of be satisfying.
I mean, 8 hours a day?
No, no. Just give me one of those 2-foot.
I know, like
strands.
If if I'm crocheting or something and there's a tangle, I'm like, oh yeah, let's get this tangle out. Or cross stitching, the embroidery floss gets a little knot. I will just sit there for 30 minutes and get that knot out.
Yeah.
I could just cut it, but I just get that knot out.
I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. This is the most ADHD
I know,
I've
and
ever
I think
been on a
I might
topic,
be nervous just because I know the subject matter and it's going to get dark.
I know.
But oh my gosh.
I know. I'm really sorry. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Prison life was terrible. I think prison life is terrible. But in the 1770s, it was really bad.
Yeah.
And this is where Joan was put. A small cell, a treadmill. The one prison warden was quoted as...
I was just about to say, why do I keep getting distracted? Because we both have ADHD.
Okay, I'm gonna just. Okay, here we are. I found it. James Chappell, governor of Bodmin Jail from 1780 to 1827, stated in an interview, "I admit that we have had women that we could not tame, but never a man." And he said this in reference to.
Part of me is like, you go, girl.
Alleged Joan Wytte.
Don't let yourself get tamed.
Okay. I know, don't be tamed. Joan was dubbed the Fighting Fairy Woman of Bodmin because she was small and she was a little spitfire because of this abscess that caused her incredible amounts of pain.
Oh, man. Poor woman.
And she was put into jail and languished there, and she died in 1813 from bronchial pneumonia brought on by poor conditions in the jail. She was 38 years old.
Oh, I'm going to be 38.
I know. You're going to be 38. Oh, you're so young. Okay, we're going to this is where we get dark, and I'm going to.
Okay, I'll rein it in.
Okay, let's rein it in. Joan died at 38 years old. After she died, her body, like many other prisoners, was dissected by the jail surgeon, and then the skeleton was placed into storage. Later on, a new prison governor.
I said I would rein it in, but why was that a thing? Like the dissection, that's fine, but why store the bones?
I don't know. I honestly don't know, but
okay.
I don't know.
I'm sorry.
Also remember that all this is alleged.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the prison stuff really happened to actual people.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's not alleged. There are records.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, no, I know that. And I know body snatching was a thing.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. I could do a whole subject on.
Oh, I know.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Okay. Laura did that. That's another podcast. Maybe it was Laura that I learned this from. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, I'm so sorry. Okay. Get back to it. Focus.
After Joan's death, her body's in storage, her skeleton is. A new governor of the prison, Hannah, I keep wanting to say prison governor arrives, William Hicks. He hears the alleged story of Joan being a witch and decides he's going to have some fun when he has people over for dinner. So he gets her bones out of storage, puts them in a coffin, and decides he's going to host seances with her bones.
Of course.
2 people at the dinner were given other bones, they would hold them, and the bones would be wrapped by the spirit. Wrapped, R-A-P-P, like knocked on by the spirit.
Yeah.
1 knock for yes, and, 1 bone. Like, okay, you have this bone, you are the yes person. And you over here have this bone, you are the no person. So we'll ask these yes or no questions. And we'll have this seance. Well, off stage, he's got a person in the closet or above the roof. Somewhere he's got a person hidden who's doing the actual wrapping to the questions.
It's all fake. Yep.
It's all fake. However, according to the lore, during one of these seances, the coffin lid flew open. The bones were yanked from all the people and were sent flying around the room, smacking into the heads and shoulders of those present, and then stopping just as abruptly, and all the bones fell to the ground. Well, this scared our dear Governor Hicks.
Uh-huh.
And he says, I'm putting those back into storage. Or you could bury them. I mean, just saying.
Yeah, or just,
But he just put them back into storage. And there they stayed until the jail closed in 1922. They actually stayed in there for several years because they literally just said, jail's closed, all the prisoners are out, close the doors, done.
Yeah.
Left everything.
Wow.
In 1927, a doctor in Cornwall took some of the bones of some of the skeletons out of the jail. One skeleton was Joan's. It eventually... The skeleton eventually passed into the hands of an antique dealer and was then eventually acquired by Cecil Williamson, who was the founder of the Museum of Witchcraft. For a long time, he had the bones on display in a coffin with the story of Joan Wytte. And this is part of the text that was with this display.
Mm-hmm.
You are looking at the mortal remains of Joan Wytte of Bodmin, Cornwall, a witch known in her day as the Fighting Fairy Woman of Bodmin. Joan Wytte was born in Bodmin in 1775, and she died in 1813 from bronchial pneumonia in Bodmin Jail, age 38. Town records of 1524 listed Joan Wytte as being a weaver and yarn twister. By 1780 to 1790, weaving and yarn spinning had gone into decline, and there was a Wytte of Backstreet listed as a tanner or a maker of white leather. So that's just a little bit of history. And then there is the story about Joan's fighting, Joan's going into the prison and the bones and the seance and all of this stuff. Also in the museum, Cecil Williamson had 3 femur bones. It says that these are the bones seized by the poltergeist force on that faithful night of the spoof seance organized by William Hicks, and with which the assembled party guests were beaten about the head and shoulders. So I know, I'm just like, okay. Anybody who knows me, I like bones. I have cow, elk, and boar skulls and a coyote skull in my room right now. I would never knowingly pick up and display a human bone of any kind.
Yeah. Without permission.
Without permission. I know people do donate their bodies to science, and those are often put on display for scientific or medical purposes.
Yeah.
But that is with permission. Those people ask for that to happen.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you find human bones, please, one, report them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And two, then hopefully see to their proper burial. So, yeah, Joan's skeleton so she died in 1813.
Mm-hmm.
We're now in the 1990s.
Oh, man.
And her bones are still on display in this Museum of Witchcraft. There were stories that came out of this museum that there would be some poltergeist activity. People would be viewing the coffin that would be closed, or it would be found closed in the morning, even though it was on display always open. The coffin would be closed. People who had visited the museum said they would then have dreams of Joan. There was actually, this happened in, like I said, in around 96 or 97. And there were a lot of conversations happening in a variety of museums about the ethics of displaying human remains.
Mm-hmm. In
October 1998, on a dark and stormy night, Joan was finally laid to rest.
Oh, man. 98.
98.
That's
1998.
Insane.
She died in 1813.
Yeah.
It's just sad. I mean, it's like, this is sad to me because I personally enjoy going to museums. I love Egyptian history.
Uh-huh.
We've been to the Field Museum in Chicago multiple times. They have an amazing display in Egyptian area, and there are mummies there. And I find it fascinating to learn about this, but there's a part of me that is like, these should not be here.
Yeah.
These were people that had lives, and so there. And this ethics discussion is still ongoing. And you can say, well, in Egypt specifically, grave robbing has happened since the days of the pharaohs. That's why they built these. They hid the tombs because So there's a lot to be said. I can appreciate the history and the what we've learned from that. But I also at the same time I'm like,
yeah, no, I also I think I lean more toward pro museum. There is a way to do it respectfully, though.
Yes. And I will say that museums today I feel like everything is done respectfully.
Yeah.
And there's, I've gone through the Egyptian section of the Field Museum multiple times, and every time I see something new and there's more information.
Yeah.
Because they're continuously, as you get a better X-ray or a better ultrasound or an MRI, they're learning more and more from these mummified remains.
Yeah.
It is just still a little like there's this little part of me that's like, oh, we've learned a lot. Can we be respectful and put this body to rest? But
well, in Joan Wytte's case, her remains were treated extremely disrespectfully.
Correct.
But because in our modern day we still had access to them, we were able to find out more about who she was as an individual person. So you said she had an abscess, and that could explain why she was sort of labeled as a witch. So if we didn't study her remains, we would have still just labeled her as a witch. Might not have been true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree. And the one
so it's a weird sort of,
it is a weird
double-edged.
I think it comes a double-edged sword. Yeah. It comes with, like we always say, people of the past write things down, because we're just making guesses on what little bits we can find and what we know.
Yeah.
And kind of coming up with stuff. So it is I do think that learning more about Joan Wytte and the treatment of prisoners, of women, of so-called witches, of, just someone who lives differently than the societal norm. It didn't have to be that way, but it was.
Yeah.
And I think we can learn from that history, do better. Just do better. Be kind.
Yeah.
That's our mantra. Do better. But as you were saying, there's a book called Bewitching Bones, The Stories of the Fighting Fairy Woman of Bodmin by Dr. Helen Cornish. She talks about Joan and how this, and her connection to the museum, and the fact that she was finally, the first time Helen had went to this museum, she saw the the skeleton in the coffin. That when she went back, it had been buried.
Mm-hmm.
And she said she's done more research and stuff. And this is why I always say alleged. There's no actual evidence that Joan existed as a real person.
Okay.
There are some records of a family of Tonners named with the last name of Wytte in that area, but there are no real records that she was ever in jail or that this skeleton belonged to her. But one thing to note is that the records of the jail are incomplete.
Yeah.
A lot were lost, while it laid empty. A lot were not actually filled out correctly.
Mm-hmm.
There were riots in Bodmin jail at one point and things were destroyed. So that's why I preface everything with allegedly this happened. Allegedly.
Yeah.
There was this skeleton that was found of a 5 foot something woman that had an abscessed tooth and also had fluoride in the bones. Like that, and that helped place her as living in this area near Scarlett's Well, working with these different chemicals and that sort of thing. So
didn't I read somewhere that the name Joan was actually a common name given to women who are known for their healing abilities?
Go see Joan the Crone.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it was kind of, I couldn't find a ton of information on like where that came from, but it was, oh, you're sick, see Joan, and every town had one or two Joans.
Yeah.
That would be known as the healer. So yeah, it was kind of a catch-all name for a healer or a medicinal herbalist.
Joan factotum.
Throwback to our first episode, I guess.
Yeah.
I did want to mention when Cecil finally buried Joan's remains, there is a gravestone at the Museum of Witchcraft in Cornwall, and it is often people make pilgrimage to it. It's kind of moved away from the museum itself. It's a nice little walk through the woods, and there's a nice place, but Joan's actual remains aren't there. He buried them in a secret place so that she could be undisturbed.
Could truly rest.
Which I thank you.
I like
thank
that.
you, Cecil, for that. That's, I mean, it took a long time, but yes, it does say that after that, the alleged poltergeist happenings around Joan's coffin in the museum stopped. So, thank you.
Well, all right.
One thing I do like that this Dr. Cornish said is that even though if Joan did or did not exist, believe the story because it did happen to someone.
Yeah.
She's part of history, whether she existed or not. And it's important to know that, I mean, the witch trials were terrible.
Yes.
I mean, and if Joan hadn't been put in jail, possibly she could have been accused and even worse, just it is an important part of history to remember that and to not lose because Joan is kind of the face of that time period and they're like, don't lose that history just because we don't have a record proving without a doubt that she existed.
So we might not have proof of the story, but that doesn't mean the story should not be told.
Yes, and these bones belong to someone.
Yeah. And
they were treated terribly. If nothing else, that someone has been given an identity and is part of history and a cautionary tale, something about being respectful to people in general while they're alive and their remains after they've passed.
Yeah.
So there's several books written in which Joan features as part of the story of Kelvin Jones wrote Witchcraft in Cornwall and Joan the Crone, which is kind of a history of alleged witchcraft in Cornwall. So I'll put all these titles in our show notes if people want to read more. I have several books. A lot of books have been written on this subject.
Yeah.
So Joan, whether she truly existed or not, does exist in one form or another.
I think we should also link Jamie Bauer's song.
I will link the song that made this episode happen.
Yeah.
It's a good song.
It's a beautiful song.
It's beautiful. His
haunting,
voice is very deep and haunting. I think it's a great song. And Joan Wytte, the fighting fairy of Bodmin.
Oh, rest in peace, Joan.
Rest in peace, Joan. That's my little subject of Joan.
Love that story, and I love the I don't know, the conversation that it inspires.
I mean, it does inspire a lot. I mean, you could go down a whole rabbit hole of witchcraft, as seen today versus what it was. I mean, today the witchcraft of today is very different.
It's very trendy.
And this is, I mean, I know that there are people out like Wiccans who have their belief system, and I'm not, please, I'm not dissing on that.
Yeah.
That is your belief system. But there is a section of witchcraft that's like, I'm a witch,
Yeah, there's that,
you know what I'm thinking.
Basic witch.
And that's fine.
Yeah,
Again,
no,
but
it's more of an aesthetic than an actual belief
system.
Yeah,
yeah. And there is more of the original witches, and I put that in quotes because so many so-called witches were just women
who were educated,
educated women, or women who understood this plant is good for you.
Yeah,
that one's not. It is kind of ridiculous that you could just be really mad at somebody and accuse them.
Be labeled as a witch.
You're a witch because you wash your hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of different conversations that could come out of Joan Wytte. And I think that's what this Dr. Cornish was saying. Like, these conversations are important to have and to see and learn and continue learning. And do you have a cat attacking
under
you?
my blanket? It's Shen.
Aw.
This lump.
Our little black cat.
Our little black witchy cat.
Oh, I did want to say the website, the New Hay Carpets. You can go stay at Bodmin Jail.
Huh.
They have before and after photos. They have renovated many of the cells into luxury guest rooms.
I don't know. I think I'm good.
I think I want to stay there.
I don't know. Well, dark tourism is really in.
Dark tourism. I'm going to quote this. The cell blocks of the jail have been transformed into guest rooms, retaining the rich colors and texture of the original stonework, and a glazed roof to the atrium captures the natural lighting which was present when the building was in ruins.
Oh.
There is also a museum. If sleeping in a spooky hotel room isn't enough, the museum will bring some of the grimmest stories to life with state-of-the-art theatrical effects. With a dark walk experience to raise the blood pressure, a lie-down may be needed after a spine-tingling day walking the chilly corridors, learning about the grisly tales of Bodmin Jail.
Oh my goodness, I do want to do that.
I kind of do want to go. Like, it's kind of dreadful. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I would stay there.
I could possibly be convinced to stay there. I don't know. With all the lights on and maybe music playing, so blaring. I don't have to listen to to any creaks and squeaks of an old building from the 1700s. So
I would go.
So yeah, we'll link that. There is some rather lovely carpeting that New Hay Carpets put into the dining areas and the bedrooms.
Shout out to New Hay.
Shout out to New Hay Carpets in the UK.
Yeah.
And now I'm ready to listen. I'm going to get cozy. I'm going to get my tea over here, and I'm going to listen to what you are going to tell me.
Well, actually, you're going to cringe.
Oh, no.
I'm about to make a lot of enemies.
Uh-oh. Oh, my goodness. What?
Probably.
What is your topic?
And I apologize to everybody because you have to hear what I'm going to say.
Oh, my gosh. What is going on?
But like, just take a minute to think that I have first had to read what I'm going to say. And now I have to say all the things.
Oh my gosh, what? You're making me very nervous.
I know. You should be.
Do I need to go get my little squishy Baymax and cuddle it?
Maybe. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. What is your... Jess, tell me what you're talking about.
Do you know what the word logomisia means? I think that's how you pronounce it. Logomisia.
Logomisia. I do not know
logomisia.
What that means.
It's an informal term for a strong dislike for a particular word or type of word based on its sound, meaning, usage, and associations, also known as word aversion or verbal virus.
Moist.
Yes. I'm going to talk a lot about the word moist today.
Oh my gosh.
And other things.
Okay, I love this because this is 100% a rabbit hole that I will go down. Like, why do people not like certain words? Okay.
It's weird, right? And like, there's still not a whole lot of studies done or like a definitive reason about why people have word aversion, but I'm going to get into that. First of all, this topic was suggested by a listener and patron, Nicole.
Shout out, Nicole.
Shout out, Nicole. She said words that make you cringe. And so I did a little dive, and word aversion is probably the most commonly recognized term for this sort of phenomena. But yeah, logomisia has been just kind of thrown together. Logo meaning word, misia meaning like an aversion to or whatever.
I've never heard that word. Like, I don't know.
Me either.
That's
and
cool.
it wasn't even, it didn't even appear on my first Google search for it. Word aversion.
Cool.
I have a couple articles on slate.com talking about this. And then I have another article on Scientific American. And then I have a little blurb that HuffPost did specifically regarding the word moist and other words you can use in place of moist when talking about recipes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That's something I know people have word aversion. Like, it's not a thing that you can cast aside. Like, it is it's an actual, like, I don't want to say affliction. Or
it's a thing.
It's a thing that people have, and I'm not gonna like. But I feel like moist in particular is one of those words that's gotten more attention than usual.
We'll talk about that too, because that could be one of the factors about why so many people hate this word, is because it went viral on social media.
Oh, okay.
And so people are like, yeah, you're right. That is a gross word. Getting into a bit of how you would define word aversion, there's a linguistics professor named Mark Lieberman. He defined the concept as a feeling of intense, irrational distaste for the sound or sight of a particular word or phrase, not because its use is regarded as etymologically or logically or grammatically wrong, nor because it's felt to be overused or redundant or trendy or non-standard, but simply because the word itself somehow feels unpleasant or even disgusting. So it's not like word aversion doesn't mean, oh, I have to correct you because you used a word wrong in a sentence and that like makes me cringe or whatever. But like,
I will correct you if you say there in the wrong place.
Pecan.
Or pecan. I have a word aversion. I have logomisia to pecan. Okay. But like, seriously, when I hear that word, I don't like it just, and I know it's a legitimate pronunciation.
Yeah, it is.
If
not
you look
incorrect.
it up in the dictionary, it says either pronunciation. It's fine. I hate it.
Yeah.
I absolutely hate it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go.
No, you're fine. Jason Riggle, another linguistics professor at the University of Chicago, says that word aversions are similar to phobias. If there's a single central hallmark to this, it's probably that it's a more visceral response. The words evoke nausea and disgust rather than, say, annoyance or moral outrage. And the disgust response is triggered because the word evokes a highly specific and somewhat unusual association with imagery or a scenario that people would typically find disgusting, but don't typically associate with the word.
Pecan.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here listening to you describe that. I'm like, that is exactly how I feel about the word pecan.
He goes on to say, if we collected enough of these words, it might be the case that the words that fall in this category have some properties in common, but it's not the case that words with those properties in common always fall in the category. So I'm going to talk about moist specifically.
Okay. Moist is not a word that bothers me.
Me either.
But it is one that when I hear it, I kind of, just because it is, everybody is like, ooh, don't say that word.
Yeah.
And okay, we've talked about this show. I'm sorry, I'm going to rant. The show Dead Like Me. Did you ever watch that?
No, but I have that as a pop culture reference for the word moist.
Moist.
Yeah. Same with How I Met Your Mother. They do a thing about that.
Okay. All right. Sorry. I'll talk when we get to that point. Go ahead.
Pop culture references.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We're there.
Aversion to the word has popped up on How I Met Your Mother and Dead Like Me. Mm-hmm. VH1 declared that using the word moist is enough to make a man undateable.
Oh, wow.
And then Huffington Post, the article I referenced earlier, their food section published a piece suggesting 5 alternatives to the word moist, so the site could use those instead of when describing cakes and cookies and things. And these words are not dry, hydrated, good crumb, spongy, and divine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I watch like so much Bake Off, Great British Bake Off. I don't know why I can't get those words right now. Good crumb. I love that.
Yeah.
And I instantly get that, know what it is. And spongy. Okay.
I will say that like divine, that doesn't really invoke the same meaning for me as moist would.
No.
When you say it's a moist cake.
It's a divine cake.
It's
like
a divine
to me, divine
cake.
is like
the flavor
could
or
be divine. Or the lightness of it. Like it's a light cake. I don't think of a light fluffy cake as a moist cake.
Yeah.
Interesting. I would use divine in reference more to the flavor.
Yeah. I feel like that's a separate thing.
Level of
anyway,
moisture in the cake.
That's my ADHD. I didn't have that in my notes at all. But
okay, sorry. I just ran.
How would you define a moist cake?
Without using the word moist, it's not.
Like spongy is a good one.
Spongy is a good one. Good crumb is a good one.
Yeah. Not dry, obviously. That one seems boring to me.
Simple and boring, yeah. But also
hydrated seems a little too scientific.
Yeah.
A hydrated cake.
It's very well hydrated.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that.
I'm like, has it been sweating? Does it need electrolytes? I don't know. That's where I go with hydration.
Yeah.
But I like, okay, good. Henceforth,
crumb,
we shall use good crumb or spongy cake.
It's got a good crumb.
An
article in the New Yorker, or maybe a poll in the New Yorker. I don't know. I should have actually looked for the specific thing in the New Yorker. They asked readers to sort of vote for or leave comments saying what word they would most like to be eliminated from the English language. And moist won, which actually I think that sparked the Huffington Post's article
about the word moist. Just viral, yeah.
Yeah. In a survey of 75 Mississippi State University students from 2009, moist placed second only to vomit as the ugliest word in the English language.
I don't like the word vomit.
I don't like it either. I don't know if I would classify it as word aversion for me, but I don't like it. It's ugly. Yeah. But I'm also not a fan of vomit and I'm a sympathetic puker, so nope. Let's move on. In 2011, a follow-up survey of 125 students, moist pulled into the top. It went out over vomit.
But it was a bigger group the second time. So
yes, and it was up against words like phlegm, ooze, mucus, puke, scab, and pus. I told you I was going to make enemies. Yeah.
I don't like all of those words, but also I spent 10 years as a vet tech, so all of those words conjure up very specific visuals in my head.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, oh, no, you. Oh.
Yeah. Going back to one of the linguistic professors I mentioned, Jason Riggle, he thinks the phenomenon may be dependent on social interactions and media coverage. So like I was saying with moist, this is a quote from him, given that as far back as the aughts, there were comedians making jokes about hating moist. People who were maybe prone to have that kind of reaction to one of these words surely have had it pointed out to them that it's an icky word. He says, so to what extent is it really some... Oh my gosh, why can't I formulate this sentence? To what extent is it really some sort of innate expression that is independently arrived at, and to what extent is it sort of socially transmitted? Disgust is really a very social emotion.
I agree. Also, I'm disgusted with the as far back as the aughts.
As far back as the aughts.
Oh.
One of the articles is called Probing the Moist Crevices of Word Aversion.
Oh.
And the person who wrote it specifically used certain words.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought that was funny because I don't have the typical word aversions. Like I said, moist doesn't really bother me.
Moist doesn't bother me. It's just, but it is like when I hear it or see it, I go, oh, there's that word everybody hates.
Yeah.
I know it's that word.
I associate it with word aversion.
Yeah.
But
me personally,
I don't have that reaction. Yeah.
I have some words that fit that. As we said, pecan is definitely one of them.
Yeah.
I do have the word aversion there.
And I was actually trying to think of word aversions that I have, and I would say pecan is one, But I didn't realize until you said earlier, tepid. That's one for me. And I'm not sure why.
Interesting.
I think I don't like room temperature things in general.
I definitely don't like the imagery or the
tepid.
The feeling that tepid. I'm going to keep saying it now because I don't like it. I'm sorry. I don't like the imagery of what I don't like. Yeah, tepid is it's.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I prefer if you're gonna lukewarm is okay. Tepid is bad.
Room
like
temperature
just that
is okay.
temperature change between lukewarm and tepid is like, ugh.
Yeah.
So I don't. The word's fine to me. Like I don't have the aversion to the word. I have aversion to what the word conjures in my head.
Yeah.
So
and
it's like
that's part of why this is like the why that word aversion is a thing is kind of hard to nail down because there's a few factors that I'll get into in a little bit. But Mark Lieberman, the other linguistics professor that I mentioned earlier, he also said in regards to like the social aspect of it, there could very well be a viral aspect to this where either through the media or just through real world personal connections, the reaction to some particular word, for example, moist, spreads. But that's the sheerest speculation. So again, no real studies. Studies have been done, but nothing super conclusive.
This really feels like a 21st century problem.
It really is. Yeah.
Like going back to the 1770s, I highly doubt anybody was like, "Oh, I can't stand to hear the word. Moist, stop!
Don't say that around me."
I'm just trying to stay alive.
Yeah.
As the plague runs through Europe. I just like
plague might have been one of those words.
Plague might have been. Ooh, yeah, that word would. Okay, but like I do feel like. Again, see, time travel would be cool because I would like to go back into the past and see if people were talking about words they hated.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate when Bill Shakespeare uses that word, I know. Can he just take that out of his
alas?
Alas. Just alas. I mean, was that a conversation that happened? People of the past write stuff down.
Forsooth? What is that even? Ugh.
Even is forsooth. Ugh. It's like I cringe when I hear it.
Cringe is another one.
Cringe. It's so chuggy.
So chuggy.
Is that chuggy? Chuggy. Okay, sorry.
So one of the Slate articles, it was written after the original article and just kind of summarized people's response in the comments from that article. I had to point this out because you'll know why. It said something about how one of the commenters sort of pointed out a new subcategory of word aversion, names.
Oh.
And this person commented the totally normal name, David.
Yep.
And this commenter said, can't stand it, even though I can't think of any David I've known who could have caused such an aversion.
I can't.
This person also is grossed out by the name Melissa.
Oh,
I know. And said that it always reminded me of blisters. There's a slight similarity in the sound. Melissa, blisters. It's that they both have the IS.
Yeah. It's an interesting
but it's so
connection.
Weird.
But
I had to mention that because we both know Davids and we both know Melissas. And
one that, prefacing this with I love you, one that name that has always driven me crazy. Jessica. And like, I don't have a reason because I went to school and grew up with friends named Jessica that I love dearly. And then there were some that I really disliked, but there's just something about.
To be fair, Jessica, there are a lot of Jessicas.
There are so many Jessicas.
I mean, it was like the number one word.
Gosh, it's just like Jessica. Yeah. Which is why I always call you Jess. And when anyone in your family or friend circle is like, oh, hey, Jessica, I'm like, stop it.
Jessica.
Your uncle that walks with Simba. Hi, Jessica.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what were you talking to?
Yeah.
And that's all on me. Like, it's your name and it's beautiful. But it's one of those names.
I get it.
I just realized that Mandy is another one.
Mandy? That's interesting.
Which
Megan.
I have known many.
No.
I'm sitting here thinking like it just popped in my head as like, ugh, Mandy. And I have
That's
not.
so funny.
I've known many Mandys that I went to
Mandys
school
that we
with,
love.
and I've liked every single one of them.
Yeah.
I don't know
Like
why.
there's no reason for
I'm
the
learning
aversion.
about myself today. I have literally no reason to have an aversion to the name Mandy, but it just clicked in my head that I don't like it.
Yeah.
Apologies to all the Mandys that I've known through my life and know now.
Apologies to all of the Davids and the Melissas and the Jessicas. That was just like a little side tangent because we didn't have enough of those.
To just wrap that up, I have absolutely no aversion to the name Karen.
Me either. Our boss is named Karen.
Yeah, I know many wonderful
We love
Karens.
Karen.
Also, can we not use Karen to be like a bad name? Because I know wonderful, wonderful Karens who have to live with that now. And I'm very sorry.
I don't know any Karens that actually fall under that.
No,
Karen.
None of the Karens
stereotype.
I know are mean people. They're all wonderful people.
Yeah.
So let's come up with something different, please. Thank you. The end. Go.
Okay, I did mention that we're going to go into a sort of study that was done.
Okay.
In 2016, Paul Thibodeau, Thibodeau. I believe you don't pronounce it Thibodeau.
No, it is Thibodeau.
Okay.
That is a word that when I see it, I don't know why, but I just go, oh.
Thibodeau. Okay. Well, there you go. That's the opposite of word aversion.
Opposite of word aversion. I just, oh.
I don't, if there is an opposite to word aversion, I want to know it. It's probably, just Google it real quick so nobody else does. Okay. Paul Thibodeau at Oberlin College. He designed 5 experiments to figure out why people hate certain words. He presented participants with a list of 29 target words and asked them to judge the words along 6 dimensions. And the dimensions were how often they used the word, how often they encountered the word, aversion to the word, its positivity or negativity, how exciting or arousing it was, and how easily it evoked an image in their mind. Included in the set of 29 words were words that were either phonologically or semantically related to moist. So phonologically, meaning sounds like, words like hoist, joist, rejoice. Semantically, meaning words about related images that it conjures in your mind, like in regards to bodily functions or gross, I don't know, whatever. Association. Thibodeau hypothesized that if the aversion to moist is rooted in phonology, then people averse to it should also show aversion to words with similar properties. But if the aversion is semantic, then those averse to it should show similar patterns of aversion to other words linked to bodily functions and gross things like that. Things that generally make people uncomfortable. So in addition to simply asking people for their judgments about the different words, the hypothesis was also tested using a free association task in which participants were asked for the first word that came to mind after seeing each target word, and a surprise recall task in which participants were asked to write down as many of the 29 words they could remember at the end of the experiment, with the idea that like the words that they were most averse to, they would remember at the end of the experiment and be able to recall those. And the word association thing kind of played into the semantics side of the experiment. Most of the results leaned towards supporting the semantic association with word aversion, as opposed to the phonological hypothesis. And the participants seemed to have little insight into the reason for their aversion to the word moist or like whatever word they were shown. But interestingly enough, those that were most averse tended to identify the phonological properties of the word as the cause of their aversion, but not the semantic properties. So
interesting.
Yeah. So it's kind of just like mixed results, which is interesting. Something else that was not tested in this study is the facial feedback hypothesis. It suggests that the facial movement can influence emotional experience. So in other words, if facial if facial muscles are forced to configure in ways that match particular emotional expressions, then that may be enough to actually elicit the experience of the emotion.
I'm over here mouthing the word moist
I know,
to see what,
see
like, I'm trying to focus on the muscles of my face to see, and I don't know. That's fascinating, though. Like, okay, it could trigger a muscle memory to something that's not.
They're suggesting pleasant. Specifically for the word moist that activation of those facial muscles you would activate the same facial muscles in the prototypical disgust expression and therefore trigger that sort of emotional response to the word.
Oh, moist. I get it. I'm like, if I go, ugh, and I go moist.
Moist. Oh, yeah. Like you kind of make the same sort of, you activate the same muscles.
It's the same. Yeah, it's the same. Oh, that's so fascinating.
Isn't it crazy? So it's like, in my opinion, it's a combination of
all three.
A lot of factors. Yeah. It's, the semantic association, it's the phonological, it's the facial muscles, and just like the feel of it in your mouth.
And the social, and the social aspect of it too.
Yeah. So other common words that make people cringe.
Okay.
Oddly enough, luggage.
Apologies to everyone who
I know,
really
this is when
words.
Everybody's going to hate me because I have a list.
Okay,
Should luggage. I just say them? I'm just going to say them all.
Luggage. Okay, go.
Luggage, pugilist, curd, squab, hard scrabble, pimple, crevice, slacks, foyer, salad, hose, lapel, plethora, funicular, groin, nostril, munch, goiter, foibles, pus, spittle, putrid, fudge, loaf. I could keep going.
Do.
No, I won't.
I'm over here I'm like, okay, ew, okay, oh, ew, and like for me, it is very much the ones that I kind of cringed at are
the ones
of the image that's popping in my head,
like pus or spittle, pimple. Yeah, those are uncomfortable topics.
Yeah, and oddly enough, crevice was like I was like, eh. Like I actually surprised myself with going. Eh. I don't have a reason for that. Like, yeah. I mean, it's just, I said cracking a rock, but
yeah,
I don't, it's interesting.
So I was with a couple, I was talking to my sister and my aunt while I was researching this topic. I was like, so what are words you guys hate? And both of them immediately said moist, but they also said lover.
Oh,
which
interesting.
Yeah. If you were to refer to your significant other as your lover, ugh.
Like it immediately sounds illicit.
Like that.
Like it just sounds like
lover.
Lover.
I think that's why
like it's just
I don't like that Taylor Swift song.
Oh.
I mean, I don't listen to Taylor Swift anyway. Sorry for all of my friends who love Taylor, but like
I find myself like, oh, I didn't realize that was a Taylor Swift song. I like it. But like I don't have Taylor Swift is an amazing woman. She's
great,
fascinating and amazing.
She's a great businesswoman. I don't really listen to her music. And it's not because I don't like it. that's not the kind of music I gravitate toward. Yeah. So, yep.
But yeah, lover is...
Lover.
Like I've known people who have said that and I always just kind of like double take. And I don't know if it's because like in my head, it's like not you have your significant other and then your lover is your side piece. Like, like, so it's like, oh, let's not talk about that. Like, it just like it's just like got the wrong connotation in my head, and I don't know if that's from upbringing or societal, or, whatever. But
I don't know what it is for me either. I think that's sort of the image it conjures in my mind too. Is my lover is the secret
one,
piece. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
That's interesting.
It's weird.
What other words? Did they give you any other words?
Tepid. No, that actually wasn't.
Oh, that wasn't one of them. Okay. That just popped in your head, right?
Yeah.
Oh, tepid lover.
And I don't like that.
I don't like that at all. No.
Let's see. I talked about luggage, which I thought was an interesting one.
Yeah, that is an interesting. Luggage I don't use it very often. I'll be like, oh, let me grab my suitcase. Let me grab my bag. Let me grab this. I don't use luggage.
Oh, another one, humanoid.
I think humanoid probably falls into the phonological, the oid, the moist.
Yeah, I think
humoid.
so. Discharge.
Again, I worked in a vet clinic. That's a word I use a lot. So
foibles. Did I say that one?
Foibles.
Dearth.
Again, foibles, I think, is the sound connection.
Yeah.
Dearth, I feel like just isn't used a lot.
It's really not. One of the comments on the Slate article mentions the word gorgeous, which is interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if that aversion is, you know how some people are like, oh, hello, gorgeous. You know, if you're in the service industry, like you're barista, or you're a waitress, or you hear, hello, gorgeous, give me some this. And I wonder if there's like an aversion to that. Like, don't. Like,
yeah,
no.
maybe. Just don't, sweetie, sweetheart.
Sweetie,
don't
babe,
call me that.
honey.
Yeah.
Someone called me hun the other day, and I was like, no.
Yeah.
No.
Someone called me sweetheart, and I'm just like, can we not?
No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. And I wonder if gorgeous falls in that department.
Maybe.
Like hearing it
for
in
that
a
particular
kind of that skeezy kind of way.
Yeah.
I guess. Like,
yeah, I get that. Yeah, but that's it. That's all I've got. Unless we want to just randomly say more
want to
words.
devolve into saying a bunch of words that will turn our entire audience off.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Let's do that.
Let's do that.
What else you got?
I text you one of mine.
Did you?
I don't know.
Oh, that one was mentioned. Okay. Panties. Yeah.
I just got like a shiver down my spine. I hate that word.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to say it out loud because I know how much, I didn't like typing it. I just don't like it.
Oh, man.
One of the things I have come to love about this podcast is the unintentional number of times that we've had subjects that dive into like psychology of the brain, or how the brain works, which is like people have been studying that for centuries, and we're learning new things literally every day. And it's just fast. Like when we started this podcast, I didn't expect to have so many topics like we did aphantasia.
Yeah.
I just didn't expect it, and I love it.
Yes.
Because I'm learning just enough to satisfy the ADHD hyperfixation, and then moving on to the next one. Which is weird, but
bite-sized learning.
Bite-sized learning, yeah. And like learning this also, before I forget, I found a Reddit article that says, what would the opposite of logomisia be?
Oh.
So logo equals word, miso equal hate, logomisia, word hate. Philo equals love, logophilia, word love.
Oh.
That is just someone on Reddit putting those words together, but I like it.
Sweet.
And it makes perfect sense the way they broke it down.
Yeah.
Like opposite would be that. Logophilia would be the word you love, like Thibodeau.
Thibodeau.
When I say Thibodeau, it just makes me, I don't know, like.
So weird.
I can't. When you said it, like when you said this person, Mr. Thibodeau, and I'm like, oh.
What if you met somebody named Jessica Thibodeau?
Oh, I would have mixed feelings.
Jessica Thibodeau.
Jessica.
You could just call me Jessica Thibodeau from now on.
Can I just call you Thibodeau? Because it makes me happy.
It's funny because when I was a kid, I used to pretend to be a dog, as one does. And my dog name was Tippy.
Aw.
Yeah. Ointment, squab, cornucopia, navel, brainchild, crud, slacks, crevice, fudge.
Oh, fudge.
Oh, fudge.
I have some really good coffee from Bones that says, oh,
Pulp.
Fudge. Pulp.
Yeah. Rural.
That word just annoys me because nobody can actually say it.
Rural.
What?
Rural.
Rural.
I'm just trying.
When I read it in my head, I hear it correctly, but when I try to say it out loud,
you just can't. You trip over it. And I think that's why it bothers people.
I mean,
rural.
The Google Maps chick can't even get it right. When we go down to Phoenix, take exit, blah, 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 for rural road. And I'm like,
rural road.
Rural.
Stroke, gelatinous, crotch, crack, curd. What is that word? Serosanguinous.
Serosanguinous.
Orifice, membrane,
I don't
flesh.
like orifice.
Yeah.
Okay, next.
No, I'm going to end it. We've been talking for almost 2 hours.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, we still have to draw cards.
Yeah, we still have to draw cards. And let's get, okay. Whew, let's draw cards and get off this word subject. I did not realize I had actual word aversions.
It's weird.
I just
right?
thought it was like, oh yeah, it's just a thing that some people have, or social construct or whatever. But
yeah,
I do actually have those. Interesting.
A couple, yeah.
Pecan,
tepid,
panties. Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Anyway.
All right, let's draw.
Tell us your word aversion words.
Yeah, if you want to, if you can, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
Drop in the comments or
spam us with them.
Spam us. Yeah.
Oh man. Yep. I apologize, but I thought it was a fascinating topic. I hesitate to say that I enjoyed researching this, but I did like diving into the science and possible explanations of all of it, which is cool.
I do think it's fascinating, like learning that the science of things.
Oh, there was also another thing. I forget. It's in one of my linked websites, but I didn't actually write it down.
Okay.
People who work with words a lot, so like writers or
etymologists.
Yeah, like linguistics. Those in related professions, they tend to have less word aversions. And also bilingual people.
Interesting.
Because in their minds, they already know that like the association of words is arbitrary.
Right.
I thought that was cool.
This is fun.
This was a fun episode. Interesting episode.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of ran like we went kind of dark and we so now we're like science.
I mean, it might be a long episode depending on how much I decide to edit out of it, but I mean, that's okay. I think that's fine.
We didn't do one last week, so we're
making up for it this week.
We had to make up for it. So
let's
draw a card.
Draw cards.
Okay.
I don't remember who drew first last time.
I don't either. So
I'll do it.
You go ahead. Yeah,
I'll do it.
Go ahead.
I'm feeling brave.
Okay.
Da 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 da. Okay.
Uh-oh. Tell me. I love this part, but I also get like, I want to know what it is. Okay. I'm going to move these around. What is, I'm going to take this one. This one right here. Oh, okay, cool.
Cool.
I like this one.
Sweet. Okay. Oh yeah, this is going to be fun.
This is going to be fun.
It's going to be really fun.
Okay, cool.
Yay.
All right, this is actually one that I've actually let me say actually like 16 more times. Actually. I am interested in this subject.
Good.
Yeah, so okay, cool.
It's funny. There's I can't say what I want to say about mine.
That's why I was going to say I was initially like, actually, I really can't say.
Yep. Oh yeah, and mine.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a topic I'm interested in, so I'm gonna have some fun with this. So.
Actually, before we do the War Members, let's tell people where to find us.
You can find us. You can find all the things very easily at jessandhids.com.
Yeah.
There is a link to our Patreon. There's a link to our Facebook, our Instagram, and our Facebook and our Instagram.
Group.
Our Facebook group. That's yes.
You can also sign up for our newsletter.
Sign up for our newsletter.
Yeah.
It's a once a month newsletter that we just drop what's happening, what we've been up to.
When we remember.
I know. I try to get it out, but sometimes I go, it's the 15th
newsletter. That's okay.
Let's get it out there. We do have upcoming things like we did our last newsletter for March. We talked about the 5K and the scavenger hunt. And we'll often have some notes about our chosen charity for the quarter.
Also, like
last quarter was the Pennsylvania Bat Rescue.
Yeah.
Oh, bats are so cute and wonderful, and I love them.
Save the sky puppies.
They're so sky cute. Puppies.
I think our donation was $125.
$125.
Right? We donate 10% of everything we get from Patreon to a charity that we choose every quarter.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've ever said that.
I don't know if we've said it on the podcast. We do talk about it on our Patreon and in our newsletter regularly. Yeah. I don't know if we've said that on the podcast.
I mean,
podcast. I mean, 10% of what we get from Patreon goes to a chosen charity. I think actually when we do the scavenger hunt and the 5K, we're going to add that to our quarterly donations. So please sign up for the scavenger hunt. Please sign up for our 5K.
Yeah.
Tell your friends to listen to us. Thank you.
Yeah.
So real quick, jessandhids.com. You can get all the links to all the places there. If you want to drop us an email, jessandhids@gmail.com. If you want to just say, hey, you guys are doing a good job, because we require validation.
Yep.
Or if you want to suggest a topic for us, jessandhids@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for listening.
Thanks for listening. Warm Embers.
Warm Embers. Do you have a warm ember? Is it your hoodie? I gave you a warm ember.
My warm ember is my hoodie that I'm currently snuggling right now.
Oh, yay.
I love it so much.
My warm ember is the water heater that's sitting on our front porch waiting to be installed.
Yay.
By the time this comes out, hopefully it will be installed and we will have a normal hot
life
water
again.
And heat, and we'll be happy, and we can look forward in life.
Yeah. We can do our dishes without having to boil water first.
We can have a normal, just less. We can knock that anxiety off of our list of anxieties.
Yes.
So sending you all warm embers.
Yes.
I think also our listeners, our patrons, our Facebook group, that's also a huge
always
warm ember.
A constant warm ember.
Constant.
Yeah.
I love it. I love you guys all. We love you. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, we really couldn't do it without you guys.
We could not.
So thank you so much.
So much.
We love you.
Love you, and see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.